The glasses were taped together. One lens had a crack. The old man held them carefully, like they were the last pair. Like replacing them wasn't possible. He stepped into the shop quietly. He looked around without saying anything. Then he spoke, very softly. "Can anyone fix these, please?" His voice carried something heavy. His name was Aldous Crane. He was 78, and he had walked 4 blocks in the cold to reach the only optical shop on Emerson Street that didn't require an appointment. He held the glasses out with both hands, wire frames, one arm reattached with electrical tape, the left lens spiderwebbed at the corner, but not yet fallen. The man behind the counter was Fen Whitlock, 33. He had owned this small shop for 6 years, inheriting the space and the equipment from his mentor, an old optician named Dale, who had passed without family. The shop barely turned a profit. Fen had considered closing it twice. He stayed because he couldn't quite let go of the work, the precision of it, the quiet satisfaction of handing someone back their sight. He looked at the glasses Aldous extended toward him. "These are old frames," Fen said gently. "Early 90s, I'd guess. I don't carry the parts anymore." He paused. "But let me look." He took them carefully, set them under his magnifying lamp, and turned them slowly. The arm joint was salvageable. The lens crack had not reached the optical center. It would hold. He spent 22 minutes in the back, working with parts from an old donor frame he kept in a drawer he rarely opened. He realigned the bridge, reinforced the hinge, removed the tape, and replaced it with a proper micro screw. He came back to the counter and set them down. "Try those," he said. Aldous lifted them slowly, put them on, looked around the room. Something moved across his face, quiet, private, the expression of a person for whom seeing clearly was not a small thing. "How much?" he asked. "Nothing," Fen said. The old man looked at him. "I can pay something." "I know you can," Fen said. "This one's just on the house." Aldous was quiet for a long moment. "My late wife picked these frames," he said finally, 40 years ago. "I know that sounds foolish, keeping old glasses, but I see better with them than anything I've tried since." "That doesn't sound foolish at all," Fen said. What Fen did not know, what he had no reason to suspect, was that Aldous Crane had spent 30 years building the Crane Vision Foundation, the largest non-profit provider of free eye care in the southeastern United States. He had funded mobile clinics, rural vision programs, and optician training grants across 11 states. He had retired 4 years ago, quietly, handing the organization to his daughter. He lived simply now. He walked to the market. He wore 40-year-old glasses. He had spent his entire adult life making sure other people could see, and nobody on Emerson Street knew his name. He visited Fen's shop 3 more times over the following month. Not for repairs, just, it seemed, to sit for a while, look at the frames on the wall, and talk. Fen made tea on a small burner in the back, and they would sit across the narrow counter from each other, an old man and a young one, and the conversation found its own unhurried shape. Aldous asked about the shop. Fen told him honestly. The rent had gone up, walk-in traffic had thinned, and he had 6 months before the numbers stopped making sense. "Why do you do it?" Aldous asked one afternoon, "if it's this hard?" Fen thought about it. "Because I think about what happens to people like you, people with old frames, no appointment, no flexibility, if there's nowhere left to walk into." He said nothing for a long moment. "That's a good answer," he said quietly. One morning, a woman came into the shop before it opened. She was 27, composed, professional, and she introduced herself as Lyndon Crane. She said her father had spoken about this place. She set a letter on the counter. It was from the Crane Vision Foundation. It offered Fen Whitlock a 3-year community optician grant, full rent coverage, a supply stipend, and a formal partnership as a designated free care provider for low-income patients in the district. Fen read it twice. He looked up at her. "Your father is—" "He didn't want you to know until he was sure," she said. "He visits places quietly sometimes, to see what people are actually like when nobody's watching." She paused. He said you fixed his glasses and wouldn't take a cent. He said you told him it didn't sound foolish to hold on to something his wife chose. Her voice softened slightly. He hadn't talked about her glasses like that to anyone in years. Fen set the letter down. He looked out the front window for a moment at Emerson Street, at the ordinary morning moving past. When Aldous came in that Friday, Fen had the tea already made. They sat down. The old man looked at him with that same calm steadiness. "You could have told me," Fen said, "not with any edge, just honest." "I know," Aldous said, "but I wanted to meet you first, not someone performing kindness for a benefactor." He folded his hands. "You're the real thing, Fen. This city needs more of that." Fen looked at the repaired glasses on Aldous' face, the frames his wife had chosen, still holding. "Thank you," Fen said, "for walking in that first day." "Thank you," Aldous said, "for not sending me away." The shop on Emerson Street did not close. It expanded, slowly, carefully, the way real things grow. Fen took on a part-time assistant. He stayed open late on Thursdays for walk-ins who couldn't take time off work. He never required appointments. People came with cracked lenses, bent frames, old prescriptions, and quiet desperation. He fixed what he could and charged what people could honestly pay. Sometimes nothing. He kept a drawer of donor frames for the ones who arrived with tape holding their world together. The moral lives in a repair that took 22 minutes and cost nothing. When you give your skill and your time to a stranger, simply because they need it, not for recognition, not for return, you plant something in the world whose roots you may never see. Kindness offered freely travels further than we know. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.